My job today is to present you guys with a top 20 list of war movies. So if I do a good job with that, then hit that like button. But if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. With that being said, I also do weed education, strain reviews, and MMA/boxing content. So if any of that sounds of interest to you, go hit that subscribe button. With that being said, I am also doing a giveaway. So go check out my video on that in the description. But let's get right into it. Number 20. Courage Under Fire. During the 1991 Gulf War, Lieutenant Colonel Nathaniel Sterling accidentally caused a friendly fire incident, a mistake that was hushed up by his supervisors. Following the war, he is assigned to investigate the case of Army Captain Karen Walden, killed in action when her medevac unit was attempting to rescue the crew of a downed helicopter. But as Sterling interviews the members of Walden's crew, he realizes their stories about the incident don't add up. Number 19. The Thin Red Line. In 1942, Private Witt is a U.S. Army absconder living peacefully with the locals on a small South Pacific island. Discovered by his commanding officer, Sergeant Welsh, Witt is forced to resume his active duty training for the Battle of Guadalcanal. As Witt and his unit land on the island, and the American troops mount an assault on the entrenched Japanese positions, the story explodes with various fates and attitudes towards life or death situations. Number 18. Casualties of War. Private Max Erickson is stationed in Vietnam under Sergeant Tony Meserve. Though Meserve saves Erickson's life during battle, the two men clash when the callous senior officer orders the abduction of Van T. Ofan, a young Vietnamese woman, to be used as a sex slave. When Erickson refuses to take part in the abuse of Ofan, tensions between him and Meserve and the rest of the unit heat up and finally explode during the firefight with the Viet Cong troops. Number 17. Dunkirk. In May 1940, Germany advanced into France, trapping Allied troops in the beaches of Dunkirk. Under air and ground cover from the British and French forces, troops were slowly and methodically evacuated from the beach using every serviceable naval and civilian vessel that could be found. At the end of this heroic mission, 330,000 French, British, Belgian, and Dutch soldiers were safely evacuated. Number 16. Rescue Dawn. During the Vietnam War, German-born U.S. pilot Dieter Danger is shot down over Laos and taken prisoner, tortured, and starved. Dieter resolves to escape with a fellow prisoner, Dwayne and Jean. When they finally make their daring break into the jungle, the escapees discover that the dense, humid rainforest can be a terrifying prison in itself. Number 15. Deer Hunter. In 1968, Michael, Nick, and Stephen, lifelong friends from a working-class Pennsylvania steel town, prepared to ship out overseas following Stephen's elaborate wedding and one final group hunting trip. In Vietnam, their dreams of military honor are quickly shattered by the inhumanities of war. Even those who survive are haunted by the experience, as is Nick's hometown sweetheart, Linda. Number 14. War Horse. Albert and his beloved horse, Joey, live in a farm on the British countryside. At the outbreak of World War I, Albert and Joey are forcibly parted when Albert's father sells the horse to a British cavalry. Against the backdrop of the Great War, Joey begins an odyssey full of danger, joy, and sorrow. and he transforms everyone he meets along the way. Meanwhile, Albert, unable to forget his friend, searches the battlefields of France to find Joey and bring him home. Number 13. The Hurt Locker. Following the death of their well-respected staff sergeant in Iraq, Sergeant J.T. Stanborn and Specialist Owen Eldridge find their explosive ordnance disposal unit saddled with a very different team leader. Staff Sergeant William James is an invertible risk-taker who seems to thrive on war, but there is no denying his gift for defusing bombs. Number 12. Zero Dark 30. Following the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, Osama bin Laden becomes one of the most wanted men on the planet. The worldwide manhunt for the terrorist leader occupies the resources and attention of 2 U.S. presidential administrations. Ultimately, it is the work of a dedicated female operative that proves instrumental in finally locating bin Laden. In May 2011, Navy SEALs launched a nighttime strike, killing bin Laden in his compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. Number 11. Apocalypse Now. In Vietnam in 1970, Captain Willard takes a perilous and increasingly hallucinatory journey upriver to find and terminate Colonel Kurtz, a once promising officer who has reportedly gone completely mad. In the company of a naval patrol boat filled with smart street kids, a surfing-obsessed air cavalry officer, and a crazed freelance photographer, Willard travels further and further into the heart of the darkness. Number 10. Platoon. Chris Taylor leaves his university studies to enlist in combat duty in Vietnam in 1967. Once he's on the ground in the middle of the battle, his idealism fades. In fighting in his unit between Staff Sergeant Barnes, who believes nearby villages are harboring Viet Cong soldiers, and Sergeant Elias, who has more of a sympathetic view of the locals, ends up pitting the soldiers against each other as well as against the enemy. Number 9. The Imitation Game. In 1939, newly created British intelligence agency M16 recruits Cambridge mathematics alumnus Alan Turing to crack Nazi codes, including Enigma, which cryptanalysts had thought unbreakable. Turing's team, including Joan Clark, analyze Enigma's messages while he builds a machine to decipher them. Turing and his team finally succeed and become heroes, but in 1952, the quiet genius encounters disgrace when authorities reveal he is gay and send him to prison. Number 8. Fury. In April 1945, the Allies are making their final push in the European theater. A battle-hardened army sergeant named Don War Daddy Kohler, leading a Sherman tank and a 5-man crew, undertakes a deadly mission behind enemy lines. Hopelessly outnumbered, outgunned, and saddled with an inexperienced soldier in their midst, War Daddy and his men face overwhelming odds as they move to strike at the heart of Nazi Germany. Number 7. War Dogs. With the war in Iraq raging on, a young man offers his childhood friend a chance to make big bucks by becoming an international arms dealer. Together they exploit a government initiative that allows businesses to bid on U.S. military contracts. Starting small allows the duo to rake in money and live the high life. They soon find themselves in over their heads after landing a $300 million deal to supply Afghan forces, a deal that puts them in business with very, very shady people. Number 6. Full Metal Jacket. This movie follows Private Davis, who is quickly nicknamed Joker by his foul-mouthed drill sergeant, and pudgy Private Lawrence, nicknamed Gomer Pyle, as they endure the rigors of basic training. Though Pyle takes a frightening detour, Joker graduates to the Marine Corps and is sent to Vietnam as a journalist, covering and eventually participating in the bloody Battle of Hue. Number 5. Saving Private Ryan. Captain John Miller takes his men behind enemy lines to find Private James Ryan, whose 3 brothers have been killed in combat. Surrounded by the brutal realities of war while searching for Ryan, each man embarks upon a personal journey and discovers their own strengths to triumph over an uncertain future with honor, decency, and courage. Number 4. Black Hawk Down. Captain Mike Steele leads a team of nearly 100 U.S. Army Rangers who travel to the capital city of Mogadishu to catch the top 2 lieutenants of a Somalian warlord. So before I get into the top 3, I just wanted to say I appreciate you for watching this, and if you want to see more similar content, definitely go hit that subscribe button. But since you have made it this far, you might as well hit that like button. With this being said, I make weed education videos, strain reviews, top 10, top 25 movies, MMA/boxing content, and much more. I guarantee when you check out my channel, you will not be bored. But with that being said, I appreciate you for watching this. Let's get into the top 3. Number 3. Schindler's List. Businessman Oskar Schindler arrives in Krakow in 1939 ready to make his fortune from World War II, which has just started. After joining the Nazi Party, primarily for political expediency, he staffs his factory with Jewish workers for simply pragmatic reasons. When the SS begins exterminating Jews in Krakow's ghetto, Schindler arranges to have his workers protected to keep his factory in operation, but soon realizes that in so, he is also saving innocent lives. Number 2. Hacksaw Ridge. The true story of Desmond T. Dawes, who won the Congressional Medal of Honor despite refusing to bear arms during World War II on religious grounds. Dawes was drafted and ostracized by fellow soldiers for his pacifist stance, but went on to earn respect and adoration for his bravery, selflessness, and compassion after he risked his life without firing a shot to save 75 men in the Battle of Okinawa. Number 1. Inglorious Bastards. It is the first year of Germany's occupation of France. Allied officer Lieutenant Aldo Rain assembles a team of Jewish soldiers to commit violent acts of retribution against the Nazis, including the taking of their scalps. He and his men join forces with Bridget von Hammersmark, a German actress and undercover agent, to bring down the leaders of the Third Reich. Their fates converge with the theater owner, Shoshana de Fruz, who seeks to avenge the Nazis' execution of her family.